Namaste and welcome, beloved mighty companions. Welcome to Infinite. Welcome to Infinite. Welcome home. I've mentioned this before. When I'd see Muji, I don't know how he knew, because there are billions of beings that come. You see that, like, you're so used by spirit that you know what to say. And I remember when I first stood up in front of him in satsang, because there's just, in the play of consciousness, there's so much arrogance, right? I know. And I remember I was at a retreat, and it was like he was kind of giving eye darshan and looking at everyone, and I'm thinking, and everybody's bowing to him, and their heads on the floor, and I'm going, and the eyes going, I'm never doing that. I just don't get it, and he's looking at everyone, and I felt the deep affinity for, and that was the pull, and I can see Jesus sent me to Muji, no doubt. I just like, oh. And because it was helpful to see light and recognize divine light. It's the nose that also need to be seen through it. So anyway, but even though the mind was the little wrong-mindedness, I just don't get this and this. And I listened to him and went and contemplated, lesson 44, just noticed and just saw this infinite love. Like, so needless to say, the next day I stood up in satsang and knew, it was that it blooms inside. As he says, it blooms inside. There's infinite. This love, it's just this infinite love here, Muji. And yet, as soon as I walked away from that microphone, it was like walking in a dark tunnel. Because it's like, but let me tell you, my head was at his feet, and it was needed, because of the play. It was what was most helpful for here, that humility, like, and this love for for what was here, that was needed, a master, a symbol in form of just giving over to trust, totally trusting, and is a symbol of trusting myself. And so as soon as I'm like shaking and holding, up there in satsang, you probably find the video, but it's like, thank you. And I said to him, there's no place like home. Well, Muji goes, you are home. Because as soon as you see this, it's the grab. It's the contraction, because the play of consciousness is to deny, and to have this stay with it, stay with it, stay with it, stay as the light. And he whispered in my ear, you are home. You are home. You're home. You're home. You're home. And every time I'd see him in Sahaja, he'd hug me, and he'd say, you're home. He whispered it. Now, how did he, but for each being, he just, so amazing. So anyway, so you're home. And that's all Jesus is saying too. You're home. No place else to go but here. Infinite light of being. And to have these beautiful symbols of, I can't even explain, to be that symbol of devotion to God. His whole life driving around Sahaja in that they drive around in little golf carts, and he's like a magnet. It's like he lives in his home with 800 people, and he's totally happy. And he's just tooling around, and and just it's like magnets. They have to tell people, let him alone. I mean, I was even in the the restroom and just the way the restrooms are structured. And when it was washing my hands, and I look up and there he is walking right through. And I thought, I thought I might see you today, but I didn't realize that, he puts his arm around me and walk out, He's just, yeah, to have these symbols of just devotion and joy, like pure joy in the mind. What a gift that it is possible. We need that to see, yes, everything Jesus says is true, and he'll show you if you're willing to follow and to see that you're home itself. There's no place else to go but home, because we're always home. The lap of God. So it's the seeing is the easy. That's like the beginning. That's a good start. Like Muji says, take your true position. And as we said this morning, whose voice is speaking when you're speaking? For that discernment, am I speaking Jesus's voice, or all the reasons why I'm not home now? And some of that comes up. It's okay. It's we're learning the discernment. Jesus doesn't judge any of it. All he says, see that you're not happy, join in light quickly. That's what he's offering. Yeah. It's so beautiful to see everyone jump the joins. We call jump the join. Because it's standing in that truth. It's standing at home together. In the true position, as Muji calls it, true position. Standing with God instead of the big N-O. God knowing. Standing in the unknowing, as the unknowing. You start going, oh my gosh, I don't know anything other than what Jesus tells me at all. That's perfect happiness. You just see, you're walking the plank. Mm-hmm. This feels really great. The cliff of death. But until we see it, okay, it is. So yeah, it's beautiful to recognize and to stay as who you are. It's like every time I'd go to Sahajan, I couldn't recognize anyone, because marinating as who you are is powerful. So between marinating as infinite and then looking at Jesus and having that razor sharp laser surgeon going through forgiveness. It's the quick trip. It's the quick trip he's offering, miracles and magic. And this is where, again, the Course in Miracles is so acute. It's right. Because of that play in consciousness, to play magic. The whole thing's playing magic. It seems in consciousness like certain things are like the little special things, little special aisles at the health food store, just loaded with all those little placebo goodies there. They're gonna make us healthy. And I just know I can find which one. Now just look down that aisle in your mind and see the play in that. I was like a little ping pong ball in those aisles, desperately reading every book. Have you seen this in Whole Foods or where they used to have it posted in the co-op in Madison. It's a really beautiful book. Okay. So you open it up and it's like natural products that you can take to feel better naturally. See, the solution here was to have a fight with allopathic medicine, which is traditional medicine, and just go to, because the alternative medicines are so much better. That was the play. And then look for every solution, any solution. And then of course I was a scientist play. So the scientific play to protect myself from the real world was to, because I was a scientist, see, and the scientific mind just knew how the body worked. And so I was like ping-ponging through that reference book. It's about this thick. I forget what it's called. It's really thick. You know, they have it in health food stores and you go through it and let's try to hunt down in here what's going to work. And you start seeing that is heavy. You know, let me try licorice tea, and then it's going to be ginseng, and then we're going to try. Can we see the futility and the insanity of cause and effect through objective experience? And really, I'm like the poster child for trying every single thing in consciousness not to wake up. Trust me, every possible career, so you can save time, you know. Every, you know, so many different careers and climbing the corporate ladder and what else? You know, what is it when you like you, oh, I forgot, you know, almost zombie kind of stuff. What was that? What do they call that? Where you're like storing up, I was like bought hundreds of pounds of organic wheat and stuff, seriously, to put that stuff away because, you know, a zombie, a cop. No, it's not a hoarder. It's something else.
For a nuclear war.
Yeah, like, you know, because the end of the world was coming. And so, look, if he can bring me over from the dark side, anybody can come. Really. Prepper, Dennis, you're my a prepper, yes. I was gonna grow all organic. Look at the plans, okay? We'll just put them out there. And I was gonna know how to have a little farm and buy property and escape into the woods. Yeah, those plans didn't go so well, see? The happy prepper. No, the hell prepper. That was preparing to stay in hell for a very long time. Oh my God, strategic planning facilitation. What else do you have to unwind this from? It's hilarious. That's the play. The play of desperation, you know, desperate, hold on to that control.
By a couple years.
What?
By a couple years.
But you see, it doesn't work after a while, no matter how much you stored up fresh organic wheat berries. Zombie apocalypse, man. When you don't see, you're the walking apocalypse itself.
The bomb shelter.
Yeah, no. Yeah, somebody's saying bomb shelter, you know, that's what that's. So, and now we can laugh about. Now we can just see it, you know, for the play. Here's the play. You just try everything and anything. It's so desperate, but you know, it's innocence. And you're not going to regret any. I mean, there's no regrets. You see that everything helps because you just realize that's not working. That's not going to work. That's not going to. Then you finally start going, I better start looking in another way. See, and Jesus got through all of that. Like I've said before, if anyone said, yeah, you're going to be talking about Jesus twice a day, every day, just like I would say 3 or 4 years ago, I would say, you're out of your own mind. For probably most of us have said that. Look what's happening now.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing.
is
It really is. He takes us out of that dark side. So, but yet through all that play, there still was light training going on, you know, to see that every seeming problem in the body is belief related. Because there's like a little outside the corporate world, there's this little quote unquote secret life, because really, I mean, I was working at a high biotechnology companies, right? You know, in marketing and business development. And so to even have like a conversation that I was doing intuitive healer, little, you know, forays into healing intuitive, quote unquote. But it was helpful because it was such a deep look at how beliefs were underneath every physical appearance. So it took them a while to kind of, until the point where even in the consultancy that I was in, consulting to corporations, I'm sitting with the corporate president comes in and starts talking about God, you know, that was kind of an indication that things were changing right there. You know, even your clients are talking about God, you know, you just see it. Because that wouldn't have been on the list either. And by the way, in about 3 years, you're going to be in corporations and beings are going to talk about God. You know, that wouldn't be on. So he's got us on the runway.
Yeah.
No matter how prepper, we see this is not sustainable. Not sustainable at all. This belief in magic. I have said that no harm comes from using magic other than a delay in seeing your divine nature and the recognition that divine nature has no need for it. So let's ask the light. Jesus, does infinite light need magic?
No.
It is so powerful. There's so much love behind it. So much love behind this use of magic, hidden in the darkness of magic. Ask Jesus, is magic darkness? It's engaging in darkness. What need has an infinite being for all that? It is such a rich source of miracles. Ask Jesus. Is looking at any use of magic infinitely rich? Acceptance of divine power. See how you can never really rest in peace if you believe magic's necessary for health or well-being, or ask Jesus. Well, I always suffer if there's that belief below my desire below my awareness to use magic. That I need something that with a placebo or something in form to make me feel better. Jesus says that's just death. And we're powerful enough to stand together in this and not fall for that. Not fall. Oh my gosh, so much time. I can see how much delay that was. Delay going in the aisle. It was like that quiet desperation. Feel the quiet desperation of that. Yet it's innocence, it's not to judge it and be telling our next door neighbor, look, it's not that, but at the right time, spirit will move through you because it's for you. And I think I shared that experience with my younger brother, who's really become a beautiful, mighty companion. But he had been really ill and he didn't know why. He was having stomach problems and they were doing all kinds of tests. He was an airline pilot. He couldn't fly. And just one day, Jesus came through. I didn't know I was talking to Jesus at the time, but I said to him, I said, well, you might want to look, and I mentioned A Course in Miracles and Muji. And he looked and he came back and he told me, there's no one here.
Wow.
And every time we get together, he thanked me. He go, well, I can see there's something here that's infinite. And he just started looking at each symptom. And he says, I've just had so much peace from this. It's the body symptoms can be the direct path because you can see by looking with Jesus, the body doesn't exist. It's an idea. Pain is an idea. Ask Jesus, is pain an idea? It's the little thought cluster, a little desire for experience cluster. And then we can look with them. I have said that no harm comes from using magic other than a delay in seeing your divine nature and the recognition that divine nature has no need for it. If you believe in fear, it is well to use magic that is in alignment with your beliefs. Yet don't hold back. Stay with mighties who cannot see you as sick. You'll see how powerful this is. When you can't see someone as sick, when you can't even recognize, because our natural state does not recognize illness. Ask Jesus. You're free. When you see that you really don't know what illness is even, that's like you're clueless on it. Because that's how the ego plays in the body for fear. So ask him, Jesus, when I'm taking magic, am I investing in fear? See how that's an investment in the bank of fear? Coin just went in. And it's a denial of divine power. And we have each other to really start looking at that directly with Jesus. He's saying, yes, ask me, ask me, ask me, ask me. As he said, it's not about healing the body. There's no power in healing the body. Ask Jesus, is there any power? Healing the body is irrelevant. He's saying, look with me at the underlying cause. See, there's so much focus. That's what I could see. It's all symptomology. I have this symptom, and then that symptom can be fixed with this. Do you see how it's a set of beliefs and a distraction from going under it to see, okay, what's my desired experience? And then the body follows, does its thing naturally. It's under Christ's control. I'm asking him, yes, Christ's control. It just does its thing, it's not none of your business. Ask him if the body's any of your business. I never asked that. Not your business. How about that? None of your business. Your only business is to ask me and let me tell you everything. That's your business. And to listen to the words he tells us, speak the words he tells us, go everywhere. See, everywhere I tell you to go. And that's your only business. And it sounds really, at first, that just didn't sound like a good deal at all. Well, I'm just saying. The ego's not going to think that's a good deal because it's flipped. Remember, it wants to keep its little sense of control. So it pretends that God's trying to take control. That flip. And then you just see how happy you are, like clueless. And what do I do now, Jesus? And he kind of leads you around and you're just happy for no reason. That's a deal. I remember typing to David, Jesus is offering a really good deal. Sent that off to David. The best deal ever, infinity. It's so hilarious when you think about lotteries. I'm going to buy a ticket. You are the lottery.
Yeah, you already won.
You already won. That's what's hilarious. We made up the tickets just for the play and went in the lottery. But you can see the best movie ever, The Island. Just check out where that lottery was taken. The death lottery is what that was. And that's what we're playing, is the Russian roulette of death. Except you lose every time. A placebo is chosen. Ask Jesus. See how a placebo is you just bought the death ticket. Ask him. We might as well know. We can still take there are times I can remember that. It's like, oh, I want to take an aspirin so badly. And he's not going to say no. But as I said, you get to the point where for here, you realize it is the death ticket. And you accept divine power. You're not going to be beholden to any magic tricks anymore. Because you see how limited it is. You see its self-limitation. I have said no harm comes from using magic other than a delay in seeing your divine nature. And the recognition that divine nature just doesn't need it. What does it need it for? The fastest means is always to ask for guidance if the call of your heart is to transcend the belief that this world holds some power over you. It's good to remember this. We talked about this yesterday, but really look at the belief. Just think of something that it's not judging it. See, we're helping each other transcend it. So we want it out in the open. If there is like, oh my gosh, I have this little canister of whatever, whatever it is. So this is my favorite little red pill here. Let's look with Jesus together. It's like, come on, invite it over, because it's for all of us. It's not for the one who seemingly has taken, it's for every one of us to look to go, oh, thank you for bringing that little drug kit. Let's look.
Yeah.
Do you see? It's for the totality.
Yeah.
So, because the ego would take that and hide and go, oh, I'm so embarrassed, I'm still wanting to take drugs. No, we're all taking drugs. Just some of them look like red pill. You see? We all have our favorite little placebo of choice. Because that placebo is choice. So bring it on, especially for anything having to do with body symptoms. Oh man, that's pure gold. That's pure gold to look at that. because that's the ego's little, I'm going to take a stick out and beat myself with it. The fastest means is always to ask for guidance if the call of your heart is to transcend the belief that this world holds power over you. So we can ask Jesus, is taking a pill, we use that as example, right? This is, it's a learning. You know, you might need some kind of surgery or something. It's not to say it's bad or, oh, I'm refusing surgery or something. No, just be guided by him, because you can have holy encounters too. But just don't abdicate all the power of the kingdom for a pill. If you wish to deny that fear exists, the true use of denial, then all the power of divinity stands with you. Do you see you're in full backing? We're in full backing when we're willing to look with Jesus at all magic. You can ask him, Jesus, I have full backing of divine power when I'm willing to look at these things with you. Anything that appears in form, including what seems to be happening to a body form, is a powerful opportunity, just like we spoke before. So to look immediately with me as the seeming threats to a body appear, which merely reflect the viciousness of the ego, demonstrates your willingness to accept you are divine, and you are not willing to bow to seeming authority of an ego in what shows up in the body. This is really, I'm asking them, yes, this is really where we have to say no. I do not accept this. I do not accept this headache or whatever it is. I'm going to see through it with Jesus. Just feel how much power comes with that. This is indeed peace of mind. It is refusing to trade form for infinite peace of mind. Do you see the trade-off in magic for peace of mind? Even though it seems really small, that little aspirin or the cup of dandelion tea. It's always good to ask Jesus what's most helpful and then really follow him for quick transcendence. I was just asking him, so will I feel guilty if I take? Yes, see, there's guilt in that. And whenever you side with weakness, you'll feel guilty.
Wow.
It's refusing to trade form for infinite peace of mind. It is accepting that there could be another way to look closely at what seems to be happening to a body. To look with me at the underlying desires for experience and release desire from your holy mind. All pain is a form of denial of divinity. The desire to experience separation from source and maintain personal identity of a person apart from the whole. It cannot last in the power of direct seeing with the light within. He's really talking about transcending everything here, to leave no part of the mind. And you can see that play in consciousness, just this little hit. It's a drug addict, just this little toke, this little toke. This is, Muji calls it sucking on the nipple of the mind. The wrong mind in our case, but in general in Advaita, they call it the mind. You know, it's a little crack cocaine of consciousness. And you can ask him, Jesus, just have a pill or something, that whatever it is, you know, I'll feel better if, whatever it is, if I have, doesn't matter, it could be coffee, tea, anything that has I'll feel better if or when in it. Is that denial of divinity? Ask him. You see how it's splitting out cause and effect. So we don't even know what things are, where we're using to split out cause and effect, because we bury it so deep. That's why his guidance is so important, to break that habit. It is of the ego, the threat and fear that something will be found in deep looking, horrific. It has no truth whatsoever. Jesus is the belief that something horrific will be found in deep looking. Is that true? Is that a play in consciousness to keep the ego in play? You see how that's a play, that whole idea about horrificness? How it flips and it goes, oh, you're going to die. I'm going to be annihilated. God's going to get me. I'm going to be struck dead. Punished. What else? Sacrifice. I'm going to be strung up and tortured. Anything not to look. Just ask Jesus, are those just excuses not to look deeply? And hear what he says, to see that they're not true. It's an excuse. They're just little excuses. No, I don't want to look. I'm going to die. It's to play. It's not to judge it. It's to see the untrue nature. It has no truth whatsoever. Dun, 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 no truth. That's happiness. But unless we take the test, unless we put every single thing to the light test, it won't be direct experience. Because we'll be holding on too tight to the no. You can ask Jesus so he can tell you directly. Oh, here you go. He says, yet you must step forward to see this, as stepping forward is standing as divinity rather than supporting an idea of who you think you are. This is the stepping forward. This is having faith and conviction that we're more than that little tiny idea subject to the world. The death camp. That's such a play in consciousness. I'm seeing these little things about how consciousness plays. There's a really great movie called The Boy in the Striped Pajamas.
So good.
I saw that movie and I just like so much came, like for 5 days stuff was coming. That'll clean the closets out, that one. We used to, Laverne and I were working on the movie Watcher's Guide, you know, and together and collaborating. And we'd call them 5 hairball movies, like, because you'd cough up hairballs, you know, when you'd watch certain movies and that stuff would come on. That's like an 8 hairball movie right there. Because you really have to look in the mind at how the whole world, you know, it's a pretend that there's a horror behind a fence, right? There's an innocent little boy and 2 little innocent boys, and then this horrible camp. And it's such a great reflection that the little boy on the outside, he's like so innocent and clueless. He doesn't see a problem. Why are you guys wearing pajamas in there? Why are y'all wearing pajamas behind that fence? Meanwhile, the ovens are going and there's smoke. What's that smell? Are going. It was like such a beautiful movie about innocence and really looking at where the idea that innocence can be killed, the Christ can die. And the victim and the victimizers, that is such a play in consciousness, the whole Nazi idea. You see how to, and that's like the little pocket. Here's the little pocket of horror, the Nazi concentration camp, when the whole ego play is it's a haunted house. We're walking around as a haunted house. It goes everywhere with us. And then the little ghosts come out all the time. We go, and we're scared. Why does this haunted house following me everywhere? Because we want it. We want the experience. We, consciousness. I love this. I can point you in the direction and help reveal in your willingness what you deny. Yet divinity must fully accept the power it has to know and celebrate itself. It can't happen from outside. It's helpful, again, to have the symbols of Muji or David Hoffmeister or Ramana. They're only pointers to look back inside and make a different decision and accept divine powers here. The decision is here because the ego is so desperate. And you can see it in the play of consciousness. It's innocence, but it's helpful to see, you know, again, all the beings going in satsang and going, okay, master, chop my head off. It is a expression of willingness, but it's confusion about where the real power lies. It was hilarious. I was on the transcription team and I was typing one of the funniest satsangs ever called Smoke Me Out Muji. Like smoke me out, you know, and Muji was going, yeah, beings come, they want me to smoke them out, throw them over the hedge, chop their head off. You know, help me get over the hedge. Toss me over the hedge, meaning, or let the lion, and teachers would talk about it, let the lion's jaw come down, chop off ego. Jesus has shown us how to do that. Look directly with me at where you deny and see how much power comes with that. How much divine power like moves in when you say, wait, I'm not going to deny myself anymore. I do have the choice. I've been choosing wrongly, as he said. I've been mistaking, making a little boo-boo here. and thusly see the denials of divinity do not make it so. Just because we can play, the play is, okay, we're going to pretend like we're not divine. But let's look. Just because we can play not divine, does that mean we're actually aren't divine? That's where we're really getting into that buck stops here, you know. It can't come from outside. Outside can kind of point. Jesus is pointing back to you, or he says that's why he talks about I can't come in and take those delusions from you, because that makes them real. And that denies how our true divine power that's always available. Ask Jesus, is divine power available all the time, 24/7? The ego would call this jumping off a cliff and will attempt to convince you that it is. Yet it is merely a simple discovery that the ego does not exist and has no power over you unless you fuel it with your desire to experience this. I have promised you perfect peace, perfect happiness, perfect health, and great ease that the Father grants you through the alignment with his will, which is your will. This is your natural inheritance. Anything else that seems to reflect in this world is merely the desire to experience autonomy from your inheritance. Ask him, Jesus, when I'm taking a placebo, am I fulfilling the desire to experience autonomy from my inheritance? That's deep, but it's straight. Nothing stands between you and the joy that you are unless you desire for it to seem to be so. Jesus, can anything stand between me and the joy that I am? Thank heaven we're wrong. And that I didn't eat all those bags of wheat berries. Amen.